create an additional administrator account on your Ubuntu system that you have created already or have had created for you. There are one or two accounts that exist already. At least one of these is an administrator account, but it does not reflect your own personal name. So what we'd like to have you do as we begin the course is to create a user account that reflects your own username and personal name, and has the administrative rights you'll need to do the activities and labs for this particular course. To begin with, there are two ways that we could create the user account. We could do it at the terminal window using a series of commands to build the user account and give it the appropriate permissions. We will get into those commands as we progress through the course. However, for simplicity's sake, at this point in time, we're going to be using the user accounts tool. To access it, again, many ways to access it, but we'll select the dash. Just search for user accounts. I'll select the user accounts application, and we'll see it appear. It lists the one user account that I have created, which is my account that I created when I first initially loaded up the system. In order to create additional accounts, we can click the plus sign, but notice when I click the plus sign, nothing happens. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the unlock button. Select the unlock button, and it's going to ask for the password of an administrative user account. If you're familiar with user access control in Windows 7, this is very similar to that. I'll select the authenticate button, and once I've entered in that password, then I can select the plus or create a user account button and fill in a name. So let's just fill in a name here. We'll say it's John Smith. We'll set it as an administrator account. And what I would like for you to do is to use your student ID, or student login name, excuse me. Then I select the create button, and it lists this additional account and shows it as an administrator. At that point in time, I can go back over and lock the tool, and this particular activity is completed. Now, at this time, I want to show you one additional thing about these user accounts and why using the tool is such a good idea. I'm going to select the dashboard again, and I'm going to go to what we call the terminal, which is what you'll be using to a great extent to manage your Linux system in this course. Notice there are three things that have term in it. There's terminal, UXterm, and Xterm. In our particular instance, what we're looking for is this terminal application. It is comparable to what you might be used to using in Windows called the command prompt. Here, there's a command which you'll learn more about later on, but I'm going to say ID jsmith1234, which is the username that I assigned to that particular account. Among other things, this ID command is showing me the various groups that this particular account is a member of. In a traditional Windows environment, an administrator account is typically simply a member of the administrators group. However, on a Ubuntu Linux system, what you'll notice is that this particular account, jsmith1234, is a member of several additional groups. And unless you are familiar with how to manage those and how to build those groups, or how to build this user account into those groups at the command line, initially you are better off to use the GUI tool. It simplifies that procedure to a great deal. At this point in time, that completes this particular activity. The second part of this exercise will go beyond simply creating the account to enabling the account. Notice on the right-hand side of the screen that even after creating the account, initially the account is disabled by default, and we must enable the account. In effect, enabling the account requires putting a password on it. So we'll unlock our user account tool. Notice things become active now. Notice when I do not mouse over, it's not readily evident that this is actually an action box. But once I put my mouse over it, I can select set a password now, give the account a password, then click change. And now this changes from account disabled, and it simply shows you the traditional dots for the password. Now I want to go back and lock the account. And I should now be able to click on my gear, select Log Out, here's my John Smith account. Can log in as John Smith. And as we previously showed you, if I run that ID command up against this account, we see that it's become a member of all of the groups that are associated with being an administrative level account on an Ubuntu system. So in review, two-step process. One, we have to create the user account using the Accounts tool. After creating the account, we then have to enable the account simply by setting a password on it. This is a security feature, obviously. It prevents someone from inadvertently creating an administrator account and it being active but not having a password. This concludes the second step of this activity.